Yep. Your other class you're doing, which is Sunday, and I know my guys always have an interest in this digital oscilloscope.
What's absolutely great about digital storage oscilloscope, DSO as we call it, lab scope, yeah, all those names apply to the same tool, is it gives us a couple abilities. First of all, with multiple channels, multiple test leads, we can look at more than one thing simultaneously, which is the way I prefer to test because that invokes something called action reaction testing. I'll give you, for instance, Brett, if I was looking at the pressure in an intake manifold through a map sensor and I was looking at an EGR position by way of its position sensor, I should expect when I open up the EGR valve and I see the pintle position change, I should see a correlating change in map sensor signal because we're creating a vacuum leak to the exhaust stream.
Right.
Well, by simply looking at those two, if I don't see that change occur quick enough, rapidly enough, it helps infer that maybe the EGR ports are clogged. And that's just a really quick example of action reaction testing. But even better than that, the scope provides us a history. We don't have to be watching something in real time. It's stored in that data storage tank called a scope buffer. So we can go back and review it. And because scopes have such high sample rate, it's almost in real time. So we can see things occur very, very, very swiftly and accurately. And that's why scopes are such a valuable tool. And the best part is it applies to every single thing we work on. So I'm excited about that because that's a game changer for a technician if they can get comfortable using a scope, learning how to
Yeah.
implement it.
Because what's the normal thing? You're gonna look at your data, maybe do some pinpoint tests, at the connector or through the lab scope or whatever you're using, or the scan
Yes,
tool. Other than that, you're tearing stuff apart. But there are easier ways, which you're going to tell us, teach these guys how to test this stuff
absolutely.
without ripping half the stuff apart.
I can tell you what the lab scope has done for me is allowed me a game plan, and I'll call them stepping stones. Every test I perform is justified by the test I just performed previously. So there's not any missed steps and there's no wasted steps either. We've all been under the hood where we're jumping around, we're testing for fuel pressure, then we're testing for spark, and then we're moving parts around and we're going on road test after road test after road test.
Trying to
And
catch the data.
yeah, and we're working our tail off. But if we can gain diagnostic direction early and perform the tests that only need to be performed, because our earlier test eliminated 25 of the 30 potential faults. That simply can't happen anymore because the data proves they're not a problem. That's the way I like to approach problems now.
And that
And it gives you
makes
a lot of confidence.
that makes the technician's job that much easier, that they can get to the problem quicker and get paid for what they're worth.
It
As
sure
long as
does.
the shop is charging properly for diagnostic procedures.
Well,
That's the
and you know as well as I do, being in the office, how much better is your day when the technicians are happy versus when they're grumpy?
It's so much easier, so much
Yeah.
easier.